You've got to be kidding me. The one with the problem here is you. Why didn't you pay for the room? Because you're the one who left me. Just bring the money. I won't, because I'm the one who was left behind. I didn't want to go on this trip in the first place. My husband and I have been married for 6 years. Our 5-year-old daughter is adorable, and watching her grow every day is the best part of my life. However, the relationship between my husband and me is at its worst. I quit my job when my child was 1 year old, and my husband told me that if I didn't work, I would have to do all the household chores by myself. So I did all the housework and raised the child by myself. When my daughter was born, I had a hard time getting enough sleep. I even asked my husband to help me, but his answer was that he would divorce me anytime if I had a problem with it. He showed me the completed divorce papers and put them in a drawer in front of me. Then, every time something happened, he would pull out that paper and mention the divorce with a disgusted look on his face. My mother-in-law, who raised such a son, is just like my husband. Today I have good news for you. My mother-in-law suddenly comes over, opens the refrigerator without asking, and starts eating my son's yogurt. My mother-in-law always comes over out of the blue, and if that was all she did, I could take it. She would go on and on lecturing me about how a wife should be. After my husband complained about me, she would look for dust in the corners of the house and criticize me. I don't trust her when she tells me she has good news for me. What's wrong with you? You should look happier that I'm telling you good news. You are really not nice. My son is right. What's the news? We're going on a trip. I see, me too. It's your job as an unemployed person to decide. What do you mean? You're not very smart either, are you? That's too bad. I have a surprise for my son who works so hard. A surprise? Yes, let's all help and relieve his tiredness. My mother-in-law wants to take her son on a trip, but she doesn't want to pay for it herself. So she came up with the idea of inviting me and my daughter to go on the trip, and she wants me to pay for it. Who would want to go on a trip like that? I certainly don't want to go. Besides, we can't afford it. Let's make it a great trip. No, I never said I would go. Let me think about it for a while. I finished the conversation with my mother-in-law, not knowing what to do. When my husband came home that night, he was in a very bad mood. I could see why. My mother-in-law must have told him. I heard that you disobeyed my mother today. I just told the truth. What truth? Are you saying that we can't take her on vacation? That's right. We don't have that kind of money. My mother-in-law said it was a surprise, and she already told my husband about the trip. What's the surprise? If we don't manage our finances well, it's your fault. How can I manage what we don't have? Are you saying I don't make enough money? Well, it's not much. You've got to be kidding me. Anyway, I'm definitely going on this trip. You better plan everything. That's an order. If you can't, we'll get a divorce. I might as well get divorced now. But what will my daughter think? That's the only thing I worry about. In the end, I had to find the hotel when I wasn't even sure about the trip. But after talking to my husband, my mother-in-law became very picky. I want a room with an outdoor bathtub. The food should be the most luxurious in the hotel, and so on. I wondered how much it would cost if I gave in to such requests. But if I did not comply with their requests, I would be subjected to another storm of sarcasm. I decided to shamelessly take a certain action. Then I was able to fulfill all my mother-in-law's wishes. My mother-in-law's tension was very high and annoying when she found out. She said something incomprehensible. It's because I suggested everything to her. Really? It was thanks to my mother that you got the apartment? My husband began to lecture me at dinner as usual, but I had enjoyed it for 4 years and maybe I had become immune to it, so I just let him talk. The only thing that saved me was that my husband did not burst into sarcasm in front of our daughter. It was as if he was uncomfortable showing this side of himself to his daughter. On the day of the trip, I am in the driver's seat. I was the one who rented the car, and of course I am the one who is driving. My husband is just sitting in the passenger seat like he owns the place. My mother-in-law was in the back seat, not listening to my daughter at all. Instead, she's talking to herself about some souvenirs. I have been driving all morning, but neither my husband nor my mother-in-law show any signs of offering to help. I was not allowed to take a break, and we finally stopped at a rest area when my daughter asked to use the restroom. I quickly took my daughter to the bathroom and hurried back to the car. But the car was gone. I circled the parking lot, looking around in a panic, but the car was nowhere to be found. Thinking it was impossible, I called my husband, but there was no answer, so I called my mother-in-law. You came back too late. My mother-in-law laughed and said that we were late and that she had left us. I tried to tell her that I had just gone to the bathroom for a few minutes, but my husband's voice cut me off. It's your fault that this happened because you don't obey me. You have no right to go on this trip. Was this your plan all along? If so, then what? I'm fine, but what about our daughter Stella? She's just like you. She's been acting up lately. She talked back to Mom for complaining about you. She needs a spanking too. But she was looking forward to this trip. So I'll think about it again when you're both sorry. If you understand, you can go home now. My husband hung up. What are we going to do now? It's really a long way home from here. Mom, are you okay? Have Dad and Grandma left us? I think so. They're so mean, aren't they? Yeah, I guess so. Are we going home? Yes, but you've been looking forward to this trip. Only because it's with you, Mom. If you're going home, I want to go home too. Then let's have an adventure together. Adventure. My daughter's carefree smile saved me. I then contacted my friend Maya, who lives not far from here, and told her what had happened. She immediately came to pick me up and take us home. Hey, what are you going to do? My friend made sure my daughter was asleep before she started talking. I think I'm going to get a divorce. That's good. You put up with it for a long time. Yes, and I definitely don't want this husband to hurt my daughter anymore. I signed the divorce papers in the drawer and asked Maya to stand in the witness box. My mother-in-law's name was already written in the other witness box. Thanks to this, I was able to file the divorce papers right away. 3 days after returning home from the service area, my phone rang as soon as I dropped my book in the yard. You've got to be kidding me. You're the one with the problem. Why didn't you pay for the room? Because you're the one who dumped me. You should have paid in advance. Oh, really? Besides, why should it cost $6,000 for the hotel? It's the result of fulfilling all the wishes of your favorite mother. Get over here with the money as soon as you can. I'm not going because I'm the one who was left behind. I didn't want to go on this trip in the first place. You and your mom had a great time, so why don't you split it? That would be $3,000 each. Just then I heard a woman's voice on the other end of the phone. It's time for you to pay. If you don't pay, I will call the police. No problem. My wife will pay. She's on her way here right now. Where is your wife now? At home. I checked your address, but it looks like you're a long way from home. You left her in the service area and you're telling her to come here just to pay. Excuse me? Your wife and I have been friends since high school. I was the one who picked her and your daughter up from the service station. I shamelessly asked my old friend for her help for this trip. Then she told me that she would give me the hotel she owns free of charge. When we were in high school, she was struggling with her future. Her family owned the famous hotel, but she had other dreams. As an only daughter, she could not fulfill those dreams, so she took over the hotel in tears. She said that I was the one who cheered her on more than anyone else at that time. She felt she owed it to me, and this time she returned the favor. I told her that she would not have to pay if she stayed at the hotel. But she's not here. I have no personal relationship with you. In other words, you are just hotel guests. Since you are only guests, I would like you to pay the full price. All right. Look, why don't you pay with your credit card now and charge it to your wife later? I don't want to do that. It's not that you don't want to, it's that you can't. Wait, what do you mean? Because your son's salary is $1,200. The maximum credit card limit is $3,000. What do you mean? Your wife is lying. You said you had a good salary. My husband just stood there in silence. He's a salesman, and when he gets a contract, he gets an incentive and is paid more. But my husband, who has a low sales volume, only gets the guaranteed minimum salary, so the amount of money is nowhere near what he can afford. Don't tell me you're paying from your savings. That's for the divorce settlement, alimony, and child support. What are you talking about? I filed for divorce. Did you say you would divorce me at any time? Thank you. I filed as soon as I could that day, so we're not married anymore. Wait a minute. I'm not going to wait. My husband finally promised Maya that he would pay in installments. Then I got a lawyer and formally filed for custody of my daughter, child support, and alimony. And I took my daughter back to my parents' house. One of the regulars at Maya's hotel is an executive at my husband's company, and the executive told him to pay for the stay in full. My mother-in-law got divorced when my ex-husband was in middle school, and she planned for him to take care of her in the future. When my mother-in-law found out about my ex-husband's income, she contacted me to ask me to reconsider the divorce. I really wonder how she has the nerve to say that after all she has done to me. My ex-husband also calls me and says that my daughter needs a father and that we should get married again and live together. My daughter lives happily at home with my parents. I don't know what he is talking about because he never took care of her anyway. My ex-husband went back to his mother's house right after the divorce. He was doing poorly at work and was not a good planner, so he applied for a last-minute leave of absence for this trip. The fact that he couldn't pay for the hotel also became known through the company manager, making my ex-husband feel small at work. Next weekend, I will go to Maya's hotel with my daughter. I have also started a new job to build a solid foundation for the future. It's been a long time since I've worked, but it's so much more fulfilling than my marriage. The idea that it's better for children to have both parents together didn't apply in our case. I firmly believe it's more important for children to have smiling parents. Through this divorce, I have learned many valuable lessons. One thing that hasn't changed is my unwavering commitment to putting my daughter's well-being first. With my daughter, I find the strength to always give my best. Individuals like your ex-husband may exude confidence, but I often wonder where they draw their self-assuredness from. Regardless, I am convinced that the divorce was the right decision.